And then you've got to prepare mentally. Well, it was tough, really, because from our perspective, we hadn't got guys who'd been out there. So we had to rely on the brigadier who came to see us, who was our brigade commander. He came to talk to us about the realities. Our training was going to give us that, certainly pre-deployment training. That gave us some really stark realities, which was very useful. And the padre and welfare people, because we needed to have that support as well going out. So we had that kind of aspect, because you never quite know how you're going to react to a certain environment when you get out there. Am I going to actually be able to function and do what I'm supposed to do, or am I going to suddenly actually fail? So that was key to prepare. And then finally, undertake the gigs. Flexibility was key to everything we did. We had many flight delays due to weather conditions, bad weather. We had to be able to play anywhere in all sorts of different kind of locations. And so as a quick example of that, the flight line in Camp Bastion is incredibly busy. And we had one RAF corporal. She was, I'll be honest, she was a bit moody. They had a tough job. They were at it on 12, 14-hour shifts, sleeping for 6 hours in a tent beside the flight line, then coming back on again. It was a really tough job. And I said to two of my guys, I said, get your guitar. We're going inside to sing to them quickly. Come on, before we flew out 5 minutes later. And we went and did 2 numbers. We did a Jingle Bells pastiche. I won't tell you any of the words because you wouldn't want to hear them. One of my guys, who you'll hear singing later, he put the words together. It was hilarious. And there were stacks of swear words in it, which was brilliant for the troops. So we did that. And then, as a complete contrast, we did a little harmony carol for them. And I kid you not, from that moment on, they couldn't do enough for any of my musicians that came through that flight line, because we'd given them 5 minutes of our time and cheered them up, and they were happy and chit-chatting about it. So undertake the gigs wherever and do it. So here we go. A few locations for you. I want a drink. Yes. Wasn't me that there was a hero. So what we have here are a few locations from our first few days. And what's interesting for me is the top left one to start with, where you've got the soldiers' way of remembering their people. But it's adorned with the Merry Christmases and all the other pieces. You know, and the reality is that life goes on. It has to, and they have to be able to cope with it. And I think that's where the music, from our perspective, comes into effect. And then the other photographs are taken in Camp Bastion, outside the Heroes location. And we had in excess of 200 and plus people that came along to the couple of nights that we did there. And I had one Scottish guardsman who came up to me, young lad, and I will try the Scottish accent, but I won't actually, because I'll offend people. He basically said to me, "Sir, I came down just to have a brew. I listened to the song. Great, sir," says he. So I stayed, and I listened to another, and I listened to another. Then my mates came to find me because they didn't know where I was, and then they stayed, and they stayed for the whole night. These young guys who were just enjoying the music, enjoying the moment, and forgetting about where they are. So we went to, as I say, over 100 locations over a 60-day period. And the first part certainly covered the remembrance as well. And we took trumpeters out, and they went to various locations. And it's very emotional. I've been in 28 years, and I've done an awful lot of remembrance services. But I kid you not, when you have a roll of honour read out at a remembrance service of everybody that has died that year, it's pretty emotional. And we provided music for them. And you initially think, it's not relevant. But you know what? It is relevant, because they go away talking about it. They go away talking about the effect that that has had. Here are a few more performance locations for you. This was very much the Christmas New Year period. And over this period, I had 2 little, what we called FOB, forward operating bass groups. They were acoustic groups, one with 4 and one with 5, similar to what we had downstairs, and the guys that will come up here in a little while, similar to what they'll be doing. And we went out on helicopters and we covered, as I say, 20 bases between the two groups in 10 days. I wished we could have had helicopter miles because I'd have got hundreds of the things by now. But you can see, can't you, the top left, that was in PB2, Patrol Base 2. It was such a small room, but the guys had put some decorations up. They were packed in there. The only people that wouldn't have been in there would have been out on guard. Sorry, that's PB4, I think, actually. The top right, you've got Kabul. Now, they were very fortunate. They had proper walls, and that was in Camp Suta, and that was for their New Year piece as well. And then the bottom right, that was in Patrol Base 2. You can see the Movembers going. We said strike a pose. That's what they did at the end of the night. And it was absolutely packed out. They'd built a stage for us. They'd built an extension to the tent that they had for us. That was how important it was for them. And we turned up, and again, I can't repeat verbatim what one of the lads said, but I heard two boys, they saw us setting up, and one of them said, "Why do we need a brass band here?" I thought, it'd be interesting then. So we carried on setting up. The guitar came out, the cajon came out, and we started with, "I need $1, $1 is what I need." Oh, brilliant, lads! And that was it. They piled in, and they were talking about it. We got them up singing. We did open mic. People were on the guitars. We had girls up. We had all sorts of stuff happening. And it just takes them out of their environment, just for that moment in time. And then the final one, you can see a few Christmas animals down the bottom left. That was the FOB Group 2, and you'll see those guys here today, and the Christmas animals. I don't know how the guys get these bits of stuff, but they do. They're out there for 6 months, but they manage to get the most wacky outfits, I can tell you that for nothing. And whilst that was going on, we had a brass group who were in Camp Bastion, caroling throughout Camp Bastion. And I mean, they caroled the place to the ground, really. But it was needed. And then we had a jazz combo who went out to Kandahar as well, and Camp Bastion, and to various cookhouses, restaurants, and stuff like that. Now, I think it would be really worthwhile for you to meet some of the guys properly. So hopefully, I think they're going to come on down and do a couple of numbers for you. Here we come. Fantastic. Give them a round of applause.